All right, today we're diving into something really big. We're going to crack open an investor pitch for a company called CrypTrack. And their mission? Well, it's nothing less than rebuilding the very foundations of our financial security before quantum computers come along and just tear them all down. We're talking about protecting the entire system for a totally new era of tech. So let's kick things off with a pretty unsettling question. Imagine for a second that the digital armor protecting your bank account, all your investments, your entire financial life, what if it was as strong as tissue paper? And look, this isn't some sci-fi scenario. It is the reality we are rocketing towards thanks to quantum computers. And that is the huge problem we're digging into today.
You know, the real headache for any bank, any big financial institution really, is that most of their security weaknesses are completely hidden. We're talking buried deep inside thousands and thousands of lines of complex code. It's that classic iceberg analogy, right? The real danger isn't the little bit you see sticking out of the water, it's the massive, invisible threat lurking just beneath. And it all boils down to a basic rule in cybersecurity. You just can't protect what you can't even see. Okay, so let's get into our first section. We're talking about the problem, and it's a big one. It's basically a quantum ticking bomb planted right at the heart of global finance. And trust me, the threat isn't some far-off thing. The fuse is already lit.
So, what's really on the chopping block here? Well, it's something called legacy cryptography. Think of these as the absolute workhorses of the internet, algorithms you've probably heard of, like RSA and ECC. For decades, they've protected everything. I mean, everything, from your simple online banking login to trillion-dollar transfers between banks. But, and this is a huge but, they have a fatal flaw. They're built on math problems that are super hard for our current computers, but for a quantum computer, it's going to be child's play. And we're not talking centuries from now. The projections say this could all be broken within the next decade.
And look, if that foundation cracks, the fallout is, well, it's catastrophic. We're talking about irreversible data breaches. All your most sensitive financial info just gone. For a bank, the damage to their reputation would be game over. And it's not just a hypothetical either. Governments are already on high alert. You've got new regulations popping up in Europe, things like DORA and NIS2, that are basically forcing these institutions to get ready for the quantum age. If they don't, they're looking at absolutely crippling fines.
But here's the kicker, the part that really should keep you up at night. The threat isn't waiting for someone to flip the switch on the first big quantum computer. Oh no, adversaries are acting right now. They're using a strategy called harvest now, decrypt later. What does that mean? It means they are hoovering up and storing gigantic piles of encrypted data today, just waiting. They know that in a few years they'll have the quantum keys to unlock every last bit of it. That secure message you sent today, it could be a public postcard tomorrow.
So, okay, the problem is huge, it's scary. So what's the solution? Well, that brings us to CrypTrack. It's being pitched as the way to get visibility into this massive, invisible threat.
Really, when you get down to it, CrypTrack's whole mission is about redefining what trust even means when quantum computers are on the scene. It's about moving away from our current reactive mindset, the whole patch it when it breaks thing, and becoming proactive. It's about giving these big institutions the tools they need to actually see and secure our financial future before it's way too late.
So how does this thing actually work? Well, the pitch lays it out in 3 simple steps. Step 1, discover. CryptoTrack's AI goes digging deep into a bank's code to find every last hidden cryptographic asset, no stone unturned. Step 2, map. It takes everything it found and creates a complete inventory, a master list. They call it a cryptographic bill of materials, or CBOM for short. And finally, step 3, transition. It gives them a clear, prioritized roadmap so they can move over to the new quantum-safe standards without chaos.
All right, so whenever you have a problem this big, you can bet there's a massive market opportunity attached. And from an investor's point of view, you have to understand this isn't just another software upgrade. Nope, this is the birth of an entirely new, multi-billion-dollar category in the world of cybersecurity.
And the projected number? It's honestly staggering. We're talking about a global market for, get this, post-quantum migration and crypto management that's forecast to be worth over $30 billion by 2030. Just let that number sink in for a second. This is not some small, incremental update. This is a fundamental, you-have-no-choice infrastructure shift for the entire global economy.
And who's going to be spending all that money? Well, it's going to be driven by the most critical industries you can think of. We're talking banks, payment networks, all the fintechs, and the critical infrastructure that our entire economy relies on. These are the folks who absolutely, positively cannot afford to mess this up. And the numbers behind this whole wave are they're powerful. The entire market is set to grow at a blistering pace, a 37% compound annual growth rate. But here's the key part. The finance and payments sector, that alone makes up almost half of the entire market, 45%. It is the absolute epicenter of the demand.
Okay, so we've established it's a huge, fast-growing market. But how does CrypTrack actually plan to win? Well, that leads us right into their competitive edge.
Look, in a field that's suddenly getting crowded, CrypTrack is positioning itself as something different, not just another tool in the toolbox, but a unique, essential platform. While other companies might be offering bits and pieces, partial fixes, CrypTrack is built from the ground up to be the one comprehensive, bank-grade solution they'll need. And this comparison table really spells it out. First up, on-premise AI. For banks, this is a deal breaker. They just can't send their most sensitive code up to some random cloud. Next, you've got the fully automated CBOM generation and continuous monitoring. But that last point, that's a big one. LLM-based code analysis. The argument here is that the competition is either offering partial solutions, they're stuck in the cloud, or they just flat out don't have this level of AI intelligence. So what's the bottom line? What's CrypTrack's moat? Its core defensible advantage? It's that it isn't just another security scanner. It's a true bank-grade intelligence layer that's been specifically designed for the unique privacy and complexity needs of the financial world. And that brings us to the final, and let's be honest, the most important part of any investor pitch, the ask. What do they need to make this happen, and what's the long-term vision? Okay, here's the number. The company is looking for a seed extension of 950,000 euros. And this isn't just money to keep the lights on. This capital is specifically targeted to take them from where they are now, the pilot phase, all the way to a full commercial launch and beyond. So where's that money going? Well, it's all strategically planned out. The biggest piece of the pie, 45%, goes straight into beefing up their AI and R&D, their secret sauce. Another 30% is all about going to market, kicking things off in Europe and the Middle East. And that last 25%, that's for getting all the critical compliance certifications, those NIS2 and DORA stamps of approval we talked about, which you absolutely need to sell to big banks.
And this funding lines up perfectly with a super clear roadmap. They've already got a pilot with a major Turkish bank lined up for 2025. By the middle of 2026, the first prototype will be up and running in that pilot. That leads to a commercial launch by the end of that same year. And then, from 2027 on, it's all about scaling up and fast across Europe and the MENA region.
But all of this, the tech, the funding, it all serves a much bigger mission. The long-term goal here isn't just to sell another piece of software. It's to make these ideas, cryptographic visibility and crypto agility, basically the power to see and adapt your security in real time, a totally standard must-have capability for every major company out there. So we're going to end right back where we started, but with a much sharper question. This isn't some problem for our grandkids. It's a danger we face right now. The technology that can shatter our financial systems is on its way. The crooks are already stealing our data, just waiting for the key. The quantum era isn't coming. It's here. So the only real question left is our money ready for it?